What's happening, guys? Okay, so welcome to Dad's Garage. It's the first episode. What we're working on today is a 2007 Vauxhall Astra SRI 150 brake. Basically what's happened to it is the timing belt has slipped, so we don't know if there is any sort of internal engine damage or anything. What we're looking to see is the timing marks on it, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and realign the timing marks and see if we can get to run. A little bit of backstory with it is basically the auxiliary belt, which we'll do, we will have a look. Auxiliary belt slipped and it got in behind the crank pulley. So in behind the crank pulley down here. So yeah, we're in the engine bay. Well, we're not in the engine bay, we're the driver's side, with the wheels off, obviously. So in here, what happened is on the crank pulley, just here, you can see it. This had slipped, and basically the crank pulley sits here, which is down here. So there's the crank pulley. It sits on that. And there's the 4 bolts to tighten it in, and obviously the auxiliary belt runs. So what happened was this auxiliary belt, well not this one, but the auxiliary belt had slipped, and basically it shredded and ended up in a big pile of, well, on the bottom of the engine bay. So what happened was parts of the belt went up inside here, and this marker, which is the timing marker, had ended up round here. So what I'm trying to find out today is if there is any sort of engine damage. I think the only way I'm going to be able to do this is to do a compression test, but I haven't got the kit yet, so what we're going to do is we're going to realign everything today and see if we can get the engine started, and hopefully, touch wood, there's no engine damage. So what we're going to do is we're going to strip out. So we've already taken the wheel off, jacked it up, got it up on its jack stand, so that's all done. There's the wheel over there, and we have taken off the timing belt cover, which is here, and we need to align these markers here. Now someone's already been here and done something to it. I'm not 100% sure what they've done, but there's like millions of marks all over the place, so we're going to try and use, I believe, this to be the correct mark, and it should, I believe, line it up with this to mark here, but I've seen videos where it's been lined up to top centre, which is here. And there's also marks on the high pressure system here. I'm not 100% convinced that these marks need to be lined up with here, but what we're going to do is we'll take the belt off, relieve all the tension off it, strip this down, take the engine mounts out, and what we'll do is we will try and line the marks up and see if we can get this engine back to life. Hopefully there is no damage, however we'll wait and see. Okay, so what we'll do is we will fast forward now, because you don't particularly want to see me pottering about taking bits and bobs off, and what we'll do is we'll cut back in as and when I think there's probably worth talking to you. Okay guys, hope you enjoy. Okay, just before we start, this is probably something worth mentioning. What we're going to do is we're going to jack the engine up. We're going to jack the engine up on here. We're going to put this jack under the sump. But what's probably worth mentioning is you need to brace it with a piece of wood here, just so that we don't damage the sump. This is before we start taking the engine off, releasing the engine mounts. So I just thought it was probably a worthwhile time to, to let you know. Okay, so a little bit of an update where we are so far. Okay, what we've done is we have removed the engine mount, we've got the engine jacked up. Just as a point to note, there are 3 bolts. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it or not. Just get the camera in. There's one there, and then there's a nice little tiny hidden one just there. So you need to make sure you remember to loosen that. Okay, so the car's jacked up, just about to take the engine cover off. Now you need to remove the pulley, which is just here as well. I think that's what is it? E14 or maybe an E15 or an E16, I think. But I'll get to that in a minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to whip these 3 bolts out. We'll get the pulley off, and then I'll talk to you again once we are, a little bit further along. Okay, so now we've got the timing belt cover off. This is over here. Okay, so what you've got to do is you've got to remove this, and these. These are oddball 15mm bolts. To get this bolt off, I'd recommend that you use bog standard spanner for that, just because of the angle you need to get in to get to it. It's an absolute pain in the butt. For these 2, if you've got it, I'd recommend using a 15mm ratchet. It just makes life so much easier. That's what I used just to get it off. But so you also need to take this pulley off here, Again, I think that is an E16, and then you've got this bolt down here, which is a 13mm. There's actually one missing, I didn't actually realise. So what we'll do is we'll get that cleaned up and get that back on once we've got the timing belt sorted out. Okay, so here we are, we're inside timing belt now. Okay, there's your cam pulley, your high pressure line, your water pump, tensioner. This is going to be coming off very shortly. That's a guide, and then obviously down the bottom you've got the actual crank pulley itself. So what we're going to do now is going to detension this. I think this is a 12. Sorry, a quick look. Looks like it's a 13mm bolt. So we'll get that done now. What we'll do is I'll show you. We'll film doing that for you. Okay, so we're in the engine bay there. Okay, so it's actually a 12mm bolt. So what we'll do, we'll take that off there. You should see this whip it loosens. You should see it move. Obviously, tighten this up really well, taut it up. Okay, so there's the bolt, it's loosened now. Okay, so that's the tensioner off now. So what we'll do, just unhand tighten, we'll hand untighten the bolt. See, there's actually plenty of play to get the belt off now with the tensioner still on there. So we can do that. What we're going to do now is we're going to line up this bolt up here, this crank pulley. So we're going to top dead. We'll line this up with these two marks on the casing, not convinced they're right. We'll get them all lined up, we'll get the bottom crank pulley lined up, we'll get the belt back on, get the tensioner back on, get this rebuilt as quick as we can, and then we'll try and fire it and see how we get on. Okay, so what we're doing now is, now we're here, we're going to line this top crank bolt up with this there. So there's an actual, someone's actually put other marks on there, I'm not convinced they're correct. So there's an actual dint in the metal there, I don't know if you can see it. But that needs to line up with that, so it puts the engine in top. Okay, so moving on to the other cog, there is two lines there, so I'm not 100% convinced. It just proves that someone's been looking at the timing belt on this. So we'll do the two bolts there. They need to be, they'll line up. Well, these two marks will line up with these two at the top. I'm honestly not convinced that's correct, but we'll line it up here. It seems like someone's been doing it. Then we'll go down to the crank pulley. Okay, this needs to be, and get it in the picture would be good, just see it there, this needs to be bang on 9 o'clock position, right? There is a ding pull down there, but that doesn't mean anything, because this looks like it's quite low. So what we'll do, we'll get, I think it's a 19mm socket on that, and just to tweak it up to the 9 o'clock position. Actually, I think, looking at it now, looks like someone's made a mark on the casing maybe there. I don't know if you can see that on camera or not. But we'll get that, it's a little bit low, so we'll do that, and then what we'll do, get the tension back on the belt, and then we'll try and manually turn over the engine and see where we get to. Right. Okay, so we've got the socket, which is a 19mm. Okay, what we're going to do, we're just going to tweak it so that that mark is at the 9 o'clock position. So that's it actually at the 9 o'clock position now. Ooh, get the camera off the tripod. So you see that's it at the 9 o'clock position now. So hopefully that should be lined up. What we're going to do now is we're going to put the belt back on with this lined up to the top, these two lined up here. And obviously what we'll do is we'll tighten up the pulley. I'm going to show you a trick for tightening this pulley in a minute. The tensioner, because it is quite difficult. There is actually on the side of it. See it there, there is, it shows you where the tension is. There's a little, if you can see that or not, there's a little metal tag on there, and what that should do is that should line up with a hole at the top when there's a correct amount of tension on it, and once it's taut. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll get the belt back on, get these lined up, and then we'll come back to you. Okay, so what we've done is we've now stripped it, we've realigned all the pulleys, and we'll get the belt on. So then what we're going to do is we'll do the tensioner up, which is just down there, if you can see it. We'll get that tensioned up, Now what we'll do is we'll get the cover back on the rocket, the engine mount on, sort the auxiliaries out, put the battery back in, and then we'll get started, okay? I'm not going to film all of that, it's probably going to bore you. But anyway, wish us luck. Is our battery tester, which we can check to make sure it's been charged properly. Okay, so there's the battery, it's been on charge overnight. So check on that, enter, constant English, out of vehicle, after charge, regular flooded, rated CCA 620, and it is a 620. So test the battery, let's let know where we are. It's been on charge for about 18 hours now, so it should be good. 98%, 100%. Okay, so we're good. So hopefully can't test the battery's fully charged. Let's just hope we can turn that over and get it running again. Okay, before we try and connect up the battery, what we're going to do is just leave the terminals a quick clean. Don't want any like excessive gunk on there, which is going to stop us getting decent contact with the battery. So we'll turn these. You can feel a bit of grease in there, copper grease must be in there or something. power in the car. There we go. So that's that. So at least you know the alarm works. So we're going to tighten the terminals up. Okay, moment of truth. So the only thing I haven't done is connect the mass airflow sensor to the box. We'll just try that. Reach down. Just going to be throwing out different readings. I'm not really too worried about that, to be honest with you. I don't think that's really the cause, but well, it would seem that it doesn't want to start.